Welcome to Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector podcast. I am your host, Tabatha L. Tonight I will start with basic preliminary electrical requirements prior to the start of commercial electrical work. These requirements are essential because they lay the groundwork for the early phase of the electrical construction process. I have done a large number of commercial projects. This evening, I would like to start this segment with proactively addressing potential setbacks in the initial stages of your electrical projects. What I would like to do, I would like to give you information that can help you get over some of the hiccups in the early stages of the projects. Because of the large number of electrical projects that I've done, I have had quite a few of the same issues happen on several projects in the beginning phase of the project. So what I want to do tonight is just give you a few examples of some of the things that are required before the electrical work can begin on these new commercial projects. My focus to make sure that when I come on your project that I can help you resolve any issues before we get into the middle of the project and then realize that something is missing. So when I first come on an electrical job, if I'm called there for inspection, the first thing I will do, I will ask the electrician, where is the building permit? At this time, both of us will go to the general contractor. That's where the building permit normally is, in the job trailer. If you don't have a building permit for your first electrical inspection, I can't give you an inspection without knowing that there's a building permit for that job. What I'm hearing sometimes when I get there and there's no building permit, the general contractor may say that the building permit, he hasn't received it from the building department. That process has changed from the last few years. The building permit is issued online. So you may have a building permit, but you must copy it and print it and have it on your job site when I arrive. So what you need to do is just print it and hang it in your job trailer so that everyone that comes there to do inspections know that you are performing construction work with the active building permit. The next thing I will ask the electrician or the electrical contractor, do they have a set of approved plans? I do inspections for municipalities. So what I need to see would be a set of approved plans with the municipality stamp and also electrical plans with my organization's stamp. If those prints, those plans are not on site, that could become a problem because now the electrical contractor, they're installing work without having an approved set of plans. Those plans are crucial because plans will tell you exactly what needs to be done and exactly how to install the electrical work according to the plans. That's the crucial part. It has to be installed exactly as the plans have it laid out. And if you don't have those on site, I'm unable to look at anything to verify whether or not you're installing it according to the approved set of plans. Now, there are occasions when the plan and review department may have your plans under review. In those cases, the electrical contractor are allowed to proceed with the electrical work, but they are proceeding at their own risk. And those risks could possibly mean redoing the work if something on the plans does not meet the requirements of the National Electrical Code. Some occasions, you may have to tear out what you've done already, but you're proceeding at your own risk. So the electrical permits that are required, the electrical permits are for electrical power. I will ask the electrician, how many electrical contractors are on the job? Do you have the scope of work for all of this project? Normally not. If it's a large commercial project, they normally share that electrical work with other electrical contractors. So my job would be to know which contractors are on the job. I need to know which electrical contractors are there doing fire alarm. You must have a permit for fire alarm. Data, you must have a permit. Security, temperature control, card access. Those are low voltage permits that are required. Now, if you are an electrical contractor and you're from out of the state, and you don't actually know all of the requirements, the first requirement you must meet is the minimum requirements of the National Electrical Code. But if you don't know, when you come into our jurisdiction, the authority having jurisdiction, there are a set of ordinance that you are required to have as an electrical contractor that you're obligated to work under. Those ordinance are Chapter 1102. So that's a good start for anyone that doesn't know all of the rules and regulations to perform electrical work in the authority, in the jurisdiction. That's a start where you would go look up these ordinance, and you will find out that there's quite a bit to know when performing electrical work. So that's something that it could be helpful for you if you're a first-time electrical contractor in the area, so that can prevent you from having any major issues with installing electrical work. Also, when I go on the job projects, I would like to ask the electrician, because normally I'm there for, if I'm there and this job is coming out of the ground, I'm there for a rough cover to cover the conduits. And the reason why I need to know if you have a set of approved plans is because I need to see those plans, because it's going to provide me with information of what type of raceways and what size raceways are required in the deck. So that's something that I need to know. And if you don't have that information, like I stated earlier, you're going to be proceeding at your own risk. There are other things that go in the deck when you're performing underground electrical work. Something else that I would ask the electrician when I'm there doing underground service inspection, I will ask them, what are your separately derived systems? Do you have any generators on site? Do you have any fire pumps on site? those requirements, those type of system requires special installation requirements, depending on the type of building, that the structure of the building. Some of those systems require you to go underground. So this is why I'm asking, because if we don't get it in the ground, you would have to go overhead, and that could cost you if you miss it in the plans to go underground, because certain conduits are required to be encased with at least 2 inches of concrete. So this is why I need to know certain things when I am doing the first inspection. Another thing I mention to the contractors when I'm there doing my first inspection, I tell them about the 4 seismic requirements. That's something that you initially don't have to have up front when you're doing electrical inspections, but that needs to be in the process of being reviewed. That needs to go through plan and review. Someone needs to look at your seismic for all the systems that you have on that job to let you know the seismic requirements. So that's something that we can do early on in the project so that you won't have any hiccups later on in the project. Some of the equipment that needs to have seismic, that requires seismic protection, some of those equipments are emergency generators, transfer switches, emergency distribution panels, conduit wiring, main switch gear, transformers, distribution panels, lighting fixtures, and conduit and wiring. So that's something that you need to have in the works while the project is going on. If it's going on for a couple of years, if you submit this early, by the end of the project, we'll have that figured out. The reason why I need to know about the seismic requirements up front is because when it's time to energize your service, as I mentioned, switchgear is one of those requirements. So if I'm going to do an electrical inspection on your switchgear, I need to know what size bolts you're required to use, and there are certain requirements for that. So we need to have this in the works before we get to that point of doing an electrical inspection for your service. I would like to give you some information on the plan and review process. When you're doing an electrical job, there are a set of requirements that are required through plan and review. I'm just going to give you a few of those requirements for now. You need 4 sets of plans, and they need to be signed by a registered engineer. If you have new construction with services over 600 amps or greater, you're going to need your plans to be reviewed. If you're replacing work for services 1,000 amps or larger, those services need to be reviewed by plan and review. And new construction of any occupancies with patient care. So anything where you're going to be a patient and those need to be submitted and reviewed. Also, plan and review, they would like to review plans for swimming pools. That's a requirement. Those are some of the things that I like to discuss early on in the project. So when I'm there on that first initial inspection, I've done quite a few of these large jobs. So if the plans are there, I would like to discuss with the electrician at that time where the room is, where the pipes are coming, the conduits are coming into, where they're coming into the building. So if I can foresee any problems that will occur to stop you from getting your initial service inspection, I would try to prevent that, because there are issues with the electrical rooms, and this is why I'm speaking with you to try to stop some of the issues that have occurred. So when I'm there, we'll look at the electrical rooms, because sometimes they are smaller, and now that electrician has to figure out how to get so much equipment into a small electrical room. And it would be a good time to do that in the beginning phases of the job. So those are a few things that I have had problems with: the permitting, the electrical plans, the submittals for the seismic requirements. Those are things that need to be addressed early on in the job. What I would like to do, I want to walk through this process with a new construction, new commercial construction. I want to tell you what you need to do in order for this job to go smooth. And that's a starter right there, what I just mentioned. Those few things will be very helpful in the beginning stages of the job. So as I go on with these requirements, next week I would like to discuss with you some of the things that I've had major issues with on several jobs. Those issues can include, as I mentioned, the spacing for the electrical equipment in the electrical room for commercial jobs. I'd like to go over that. I would like to go over some service characteristics for your voltages. Grounded B, I've had that not on too many new constructions, but that's a issue. The switchboard and the switchgear. Service equipment that needs to be suitable for service equipment for the switchgear. I would like to go over some clearance issues for the switchgear. Lashings of the service conductors, those have been problems. I mentioned the seismic requirements for the switchgear. One thing I always have on the job when I am doing an inspection to turn on the service, I would like to go over that next week as well, torquing of the switchgear terminals. That seems to be a problem. I would like to also go over the amperage size of the next breaker up. That seems to be an issue on some of the jobs that I've had. That's Article 240. That's something I would like to discuss. And those are a few things that I would like to discuss, and I will add more as I go. Thank you for tuning in to Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me on any of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, under Ask the Lady Electrical Inspector. If you would like to add anything to this discussion or provide any feedback, please email me at asktheladyelectricalinspector@gmail.com. Thank you and good night.